Well, it's better than some islands out there. I'm your host Yusuf, and these are 10 Rikers Island secrets they don't want you to know about. Make sure to subscribe and ring that bell to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Anyways, let's row, row, row our boat gently down the stream. Number 10, Garbage Island. In 1884, Rikers Island was purchased by the city for $180,000. Although it was originally intended to serve as a workhouse, the city eventually expressed a desire to construct a bigger men's jail on the site. In order to prepare for the facility's construction, a foundation of garbage, landfill, and street dirt was dumped on the island to expand the grounds, and also to save the street cleaning department some effort. In 1924, all barge landfilling operations in New York City were consolidated at Rikers Island, and unlike other city landfills which capped the heights of garbage heaps to 10 feet, Rikers Island mounds went higher. Even after Rikers Island officially opened in 1932, landfill continued to be added to the property until 1943, enlarging the original 90-acre plot of land to its current size of roughly 415 acres. According to Ted Steinberg, author of Gotham Unbound, The Ecological History of Greater New York, 200 acres were also removed from Rikers Island to help fill in the North Beach Airport, later renamed the LaGuardia Airport. Number 9, the inmates work on a different island. Located in the western Long Island Sound, Hart Island serves as the city's last potter's field. Since 1869, more than 1 million people have been buried in what is currently the largest tax-funded cemetery in the world.
But in 1868, New York City purchased Hart Island for use as a public cemetery, a role that it still plays today.
It was once the site of a woman's insane asylum, as well as a tuberculosis hospital and an overflow facility for Rikers Island, among a number of other uses. Today, however, the island is entirely dedicated to burials, and inmates from Rikers are ferried over on weekdays to perform the internments and other maintenance tasks for 50 cents an hour. Although the Department of Correction has historically prohibited people from accessing the cemetery, with the exception of relatives of the deceased, the team behind the Hart Island project has worked to open the site to general visitors who can now go to a gazebo viewing area.
Those who die in the 5 boroughs and can't be identified, or whose bodies are unclaimed by relatives, are brought here by ferry. Detainees from Rikers volunteer to provide a proper burial for these unclaimed souls.
Number 8, there's a garden on Rikers Island. For over 100 years, farming has been an important component of the daily operations of correctional facilities in the United States, as so well portrayed in the Netflix original series, Orange is the New Black.
Good day to you, Miss Clackadoo.
Might I examine your nesting box?
Rikers Island is home to a greenhouse, jail to street program run by the Horticultural Society and the NYC Department of Correction, which gives inmates the opportunity to work in a garden and greenhouse space. Through vocational training, environmental education, and horticultural therapy, the program provides detainees with important skills to help them reintegrate into the community. That's some good stuff, Rikers. Number 7. If you compare a few different versions of New York City transit maps, you may notice that Rikers Island is either included or excluded on them. It's pretty inconsistent, and we've documented maps dating back to 1939 as proof. A 2016 guerrilla campaign by graduate students in the Design Studies program at Parsons, the New School for Design, took inspiration from the See Rikers hashtag. As part of the project, clear stickers printed with Rikers is here were handed out to the public and placed on existing maps to highlight the island. According to students Estefania Acosta de la Pena, Laura Sanchez, and Misha Wolf, its absence on transit maps is emblematic of a broader cultural willingness to overlook the places, policies, and practices that support the systemic violence of mass incarceration. Number 6. In its early days, Rikers Island was used as a Union Army training ground during the Civil War by the 9th New York Infantry, known as Hawkins Zouaves. On the 20th Colored Regiment, who had to be separated to different parts of the island, Rikers Island was later used by a number of other regiments, including the Anderson Zouaves and the 36th New York State Volunteers. Towards the end of the war, the island also served as a prisoner of war camp for captured Confederate Army soldiers. Near the end of 1864, Rikers Island was transformed from a camp where soldiers were sent for temporary duty and training to a prisoner of war facility for Confederate soldiers. The city of New York purchased the island in 1884 from the Riker family, who had settled it in 1638. Number 5, they considered shutting it down. In February 2016, the Independent Commission on New York City Criminal Justice and Incarceration Reform, also known as the Lippman Commission since it is chaired by former Chief Judge of the State of New York, Jonathan Lippman, was convened by New York City Council Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito to review the entirety of the city's criminal justice system. In April of that year, Glenn E. Martin launched a campaign that called for the closure of the Rikers Island jail complex. In September 2016, the campaign organized a march from Queens Plaza to the Rikers Island Bridge to send a message to former Mayor Bill de Blasio that New York City is united in demanding the jail complex be closed. In the months following, there have been plans to build an additional facility on the island that consisted of 1,500 beds. In November 2016, New York City Department of Correction Commissioner Joseph Ponte said, "As we look at construction and now with the movement to close Rikers, all those things politically have to be taken into consideration. So the 1,500 bed facility on Rikers is still at a kind of pause right now." After a year of consideration, the Lippman Commission released a report of recommendations for closing the jail complex. De Blasio did not specifically endorse the findings of the commission, and it is expected to provide the broad outline of the plan to close Rikers when it was announced. The Lippman Commission proposed a 10-year plan to close the 10 jails currently on the island and replace them with smaller jails, one in each borough closer to the courthouses. The population at Rikers Island would have to decrease from the current average of 10,000 to approximately 5,000 inmates. Number 4, as the conditions on Rikers Island continue to deteriorate, the city is putting more focus on the future of the site. Reform and renovation have been proposed to fix its crumbling foundation, but many argue that the facility is beyond saving. Though expensive, the nonprofit organization Just Leadership has been one of the main coalescing voices in the Close Rikers campaign, supported by City Council Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito. Various potential proposals commissioned by Cranes New York have surfaced to completely transform the grounds, such as the above LaGuardia Airport extension idea by Rethink Studio. But an architecture studio led by Untapped Cities founder Michelle Young at Columbia University's Graduate School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation seeks to go beyond these proposals, making sure any future plans are appropriate to the site itself, the constituents within Rikers City, and the community around. Number 3. It is quite fitting for Rikers Island to be called a penal colony, a place of exile for prisoners, since it is home to its own power plant and bakery, which turns out thousands of loaves of bread each day. According to the New York Times, the carrot cake, usually served during holidays, is the most sought after item. In addition, it is considered a privilege to work in the bakery. All the inmates tolling inside the 11,000 square feet complex have a sentence of a year or less. The North Infirmary Command, which used to be called the Rikers Island Infirmary, is used to house inmates requiring extreme protective custody, inmates with special health needs, mentally ill inmates, and inmates undergoing substance detoxification. The infirmary also has the capacity to house overflow inmates from conventional populations. The rest of the facilities, all built in the last 67 years, make up this city of jails. In addition to the Vernon C. Bain Correctional Center, a floating barge, as well as schools, medical clinics, ball fields, chapels, gyms, substance rehab programs, grocery stores, barber shops, a bakery, a laundromat, a power plant, a track, a tailor shop, a print shop, a bus depot, and a car wash. It also contains a large composting facility. Going green. Number 2, due to its stable foundation, Rikers Island is especially prone to sinking and shifting. As air pockets rise up from underneath the site, the ground can resettle to fill in the gaps. This contributes to the crumbling infrastructure of the facility, making it vulnerable to flooding and other natural disasters. As the ground shifts, water pipes located underground can also crack or move. In addition, the deterioration of the buildings themselves have created a fertile ground for the creation of DIY weapons inside the jail. As air pockets pop up beneath Rikers, the ground sinks and shifts to fill the gaps. All this sinking and shifting is unpredictable, and the ground settlement threatens the very foundation of the building. The ground does not shift or sink in a uniform way, says Suttleson. So for a building that large, only say a corner of the building will have ground underneath it that goes down, and that corner will go down with it. The result is cracks in the walls or ceilings of the building, which adds to the flooding issue. Ground settlement also causes problems with the water supply. The water pipes are located underground, and as the ground shifts, the pipes can move, crack, or break apart. Number 1. In a 2009 Daily News article, writers Joe Gold and Rich Shapiro reported on a secret sadistic Rikers Island society called The Program, which was operated by facility guards.
The inmates run the facilities.
The footage came to light as part of a lawsuit brought by the New York County Defender Services on behalf of a client awaiting trial, who argued he should be released because of the unsafe conditions inside Rikers.
According to internee Antonio Madera, they allowed a group of inmate enforcers known as the Team to assault and humiliate other prisoners. Sometimes they also participated in the beatings. The hellish scheme remained under wraps until an inmate, Christopher Robinson, who was 18 at the time, was brutally executed. Madera consequently filed a lawsuit against the city in February 2008, which was settled for $22,500. Undertraining of corrections officers continues to result in brutal treatment of inmates. Just Leadership reported that in 2013 alone, use of excessive force by officers resulted in 1,057 injuries among an adolescent population of only 791. Negligence by correctional facility officers have led to lawsuits and settlements, including a $5.75 million payout for Bradley Ballard in 2013, who was found in a cell only after 6 days, a $2.75 million payout in July 2014 for the wrongful passing of Ronald Spear, who passed of blunt force trauma to the head, and a $2.75 million payout in December 2014 for Jerome Murdo, who passed away from being in a mental health unit that was over 100 degrees. Thanks for watching. Leave a like and comment if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time on Crime Time!